Welcome to your Trig Survival Guide. In this video, we're going to verify a trig identity. So we'll verify that tan times sine plus secant times cosine squared equals to secant. So here's our identity. A list of possible strategies are at the bottom. And we know that before we start a verification of a trig identity, we should decide which side to work on because we can only manipulate one side. And we also should strategize. So when choosing a side to work on, you usually choose the more complex side, as substituting and simplifying usually gives you an easier route to proving. So for this particular problem, it seems that the left-hand side has a lot more to work with. So we'll be working and manipulating the left side. We see that we want to condense down these two terms into a single term, and it should be just secant. And so when thinking of a strategy to use, seeing all the tangent and the secant, it may be first a great idea to rewrite everything in terms of sine and cosine. So we'll use some identities to make these substitutions. All right, so we have tangent x, sine x. So let's rewrite tangent as sine over cosine. That's using our quotient identity, times sine over 1. Okay, and then we'll have plus the other term. Let's rewrite secant using a reciprocal identity. We'll rewrite it as 1 over cosine times cosine squared over 1. And remember, cosine squared is simply cosine times cosine, so that's 2 cosines we have in the numerator. And that equals our right-hand side. I like to draw this vertical bar here just as a reminder. Don't work on that right side. We can't add or subtract things to both sides. We can't divide both sides. When we're in the act of proving an identity, we only can manipulate one side. All right, so we have a lot to work with now on our left-hand side. Let's clean this up a little bit and see that we actually have a common denominator of cosine. So instead of canceling in that second term where we have a common factor of cosine, I think let's go ahead and rewrite everything over its common denominator of cosine. So from the first term in the numerator, we have sine times sine, so that's going to be sine squared. From the second term in the numerator, 1 times cosine, of course, is just cosine squared, so we have plus cosine squared. And then that's all over our common denominator, cosine x equals the right-hand side. Hopefully that right there shows you that there are multiple paths to proving a trig identity. Some people may have chosen to cancel the cosines in the second term and then maybe would have gone on a slightly different path there. But here we have combined using that common denominator, and we should recognize one of our favorite Pythagorean identities now in the numerator. See, we have sine squared plus cosine squared. So we know that equals 1 from our Pythagorean identity. So let's go ahead and make that replacement. So the entire numerator now is simply 1. And then we didn't touch the denominator. That's still cosine equal to the right-hand side. A quick pause to reassess. We're trying to get to secant, which is our right-hand side. And using a reciprocal identity, we know that 1 over cosine is in fact secant. So we have secant equals our secant, our right-hand side, and that proves this trig identity. Be sure to check the links in the video description. I'll post a lot more examples of worked out proving trig identities just to give you some great ideas and practice in how to apply different strategies and how to work through to prove. The more you practice this, the better you get. So just keep practicing. Remember, you can do it, and thanks for watching.